Namaste, yogis. This is Angie with Radiant Yoga Online. And today we are going to be working on a hip sequence. So if you're dealing with some tight hips, perhaps you've been running, biking, whatever the case may be, we're going to see if we can give you some relief today. So let's start in a wide-kneed child's pose. So coming to all fours, bring your big toes together, open the knees wide, and just sit back on your heels right here. Walking the fingertips forward. Rest your forehead on the mat. And just allow yourself to be here for about 10 breaths, really sinking the hips down a little bit deeper. That's it. Keep breathing. Just a couple more breaths. Just really using that breath. Send it to your hips. Just letting the breath help to bring some release into your hips. Let's take one more breath. And then from here, let's go ahead and slide the palms in, coming onto hands and knees. We're just going to warm up our spine. So inhaling as the belly button falls towards the earth. And let's exhale, roll up into your cat back. Inhale, let the belly button fall. Exhale, round into cat back. Let's take a couple more breaths. One more breath cycle. And then drawing the navel in, finding a nice long spine, and taking the right knee right out alongside the body. All right, so you're bending the knee at 90 degrees. We're going to do some hip rotations. So begin to circle the knee forward and back, just beginning to lubricate that hip joint. Take a few more times around. And then coming back to the middle and reversing. So going the opposite direction. So you can make these circles as big or as little as you want. Just creating space in your hip. Let's do one more time around. And then bring the knee to the ground. Switching to your left leg. Same thing, bringing the knee out to the side. Begin to rotate the hip forward and back. All right, one more time in this direction, and then reversing directions. So taking it back. All right, one more time in this direction. And then coming back to all fours. Walking the knees back, coming into a kneeling plank. Come up on your toes, inhaling here, and as you exhale, come into downward facing dog. Right here, just finding some length in your hamstrings. It's important to keep your hamstrings stretched out to help keep your hips healthy. So we're going to pause here, just walk out your heels. And then from here, take that right leg straight up to the sky, one-legged downward facing dog. Begin to open the hip, so you're rotating the whole entire leg externally. Then bend the knee, let the heel fall to the glute. Come into a nice hip opener. Keep pressing that left heel down to the mat. And then straighten the leg, level off the hip, and step the foot forward right alongside your right thumb. Ground down the left knee. Come into a kneeling lunge. Slide the left knee back. Press the top of the foot down flat into the mat. And then walk your hands up to that right quadricep. All right, we're just going to settle in here for a few breaths. to really start to open into the psoas muscle, the hip flexor on the left foot or on the left side. So rest your hands on the right thigh. Begin to just gently press the palms against the thigh to help you open through the heart too. So as you're resting here, keep drawing the right hip forward, left hip back. Press the top of the left foot down into the mat. And pretend like you're trying to draw the toes forward towards you. You notice how that glute starts to activate. So you're stretching the left hip, but you're also building some strength in that hip. So strengthening the hip is just as important as stretching it. So we're building some strength here. Let's take one more breath. And then lowering the hands down, curl the left toes under. We're going to step it back into down dog and just walk out the heels. And then switching to the left side. Take that left leg up, one-legged down dog, and then start to open the entire leg to the side. Trying to stack the left hip on top of the right. Drop the heel towards the right glute. Pause here, breathe. One more breath. And then going ahead, finding a neutral rotation in the hip. Leg is straight. Inhale, and as you exhale, step the foot right alongside your left thumb. Ground down your right knee this time. Slide the knee back. You're not directly on top of the kneecap. Flatten the top of the foot. And then walking your hands up to the top of the quadricep. Roll the shoulders back, lift the heart. And then begin to press the top of the right foot into the mat. And pretend like you're trying to drag the toes forward. Again, firing up that glute, building some strength in the right hip. Let's take one more breath. And then placing the hands down on the mat, curling the toes under. Let's go ahead and step back into downward facing dog again, walking out the heels. And then coming into pigeon pose, the most yummy hip stretch of all. So inhale the right leg up. You can also come into this from a kneeling position too. We're going to bring that right knee up towards the right wrist. And then just let that left or the right foot kind of fall wherever it falls. All right, lengthen out through the left leg. Gaze over the shoulder. Make sure that left hip and knee and toes are going in the same direction. And you can stay here with your hands supporting you, or you can start to walk the hands forward. Make sure you're lengthening through your spine the whole way down. Make sure that your right hip stays off the mat. You're not rolling to your right. And then walking the hands forward, taking the forehead to the ground. And just being here for about 5 to 8 breaths. And then slowly, let's walk our hands back in. Now we are going to roll to the right hip. Swinging the left leg over the top. Now I'm going to turn and face you so you can see what I'm doing. So we're forming the bottom half of cow face. So we're just stacking the knees. Draw the heels as close to the glutes as you can. Wrap your hands around your ankles. Just sit up nice and tall. Make sure both sits bones are grounded. Now you can stay here for a little more juice in those hips. Inhale, and as you exhale, roll the shoulders back. You can fold over that top leg. And slowly come up. And then from here, we're just going to take it back to downward facing dog to set up for the left side. So to get there, go ahead and come up on your knees, plant your hands, come up on your toes, and just unwind your legs. Step it back, downward facing dog. And then inhaling the left leg up. Exhale, pull it forward, setting up for pigeon on this side. Lengthening out through the right leg. And make sure to look over the shoulder, make sure the hip, the knee, the toes are going in the same direction. And then walking the hands forward. Make sure you don't roll to the left hip. We want both hips lifted. Walk the hands forward. 5 to 8 breaths right here. Let's take just a couple more. And walking the hands in, rolling over to the left hip, swinging the right leg around to the top. Again, you're stacking your knees, bringing your heels as close to opposite hips as you can, holding onto the ankles, roll the shoulders back. Now, if you find you're a little compressed through the spine, you can always slide a block underneath your tailbone. Otherwise, try to find as much space in your spine as you can. And again, if you need a little more juice in the hips, inhale, and as you exhale, hinge forward. And slowly coming all the way back up. And let's go ahead and extend the legs straight out for a moment, giving them a little shake. And then coming into butterfly pose, also known as Baddha Konasana. So bring the soles of the feet together. So making our legs like butterfly wings, holding onto the ankles. So just make sure the feet are flat. Open the knees as wide as you comfortably can. Roll the shoulders back, find space in the spine again. And you can have, if your hips are tight, you can also walk your heels forward just a little bit more. Otherwise, you're trying to slide them in pretty close to the body. Now, if you want a little more sensation in the hips, inhale, sit up tall. And as you exhale, keep the shoulders relaxed. You're just going to lead with your heart, folding forward. And then slowly coming back up, holding the outsides of your knees, closing the knees up, just like you're closing up a book. And let's go ahead and get long again. We're just going to do one more pose. We're going to come to our backs. All right, so reach the fingertips forward, sit up nice and tall. Inhale, and as you exhale, slowly lower all the way down to our backs. And then from here, we're going to bend the knees. Bring the feet just a little bit wider than hip-width distance apart. We're going to let the knees drop to the left. So just let them fall to the left. Now take that left foot and maybe anchor it just above that right knee. It's just hooking above the right knee. So it helps to deepen the stretch in that right leg. Be here for about 5 breaths. You might even bring your arms into goalpost arms. This feels nice on the shoulders. Maybe turning your head to look over to the right. And releasing both feet back down. We're going to go the other way. Let the knees fall to the right this time. Anchor the right foot just above the left knee. Look over the left shoulder. One more breath. And then bringing both feet back down. Let's go ahead and draw those knees into the chest, rocking the hips from side to side. And you should always take a little time for Shavasana. So if you've got time, send the legs out, open the arms, and just settle into your happy place for Shavasana. Thank you for joining me on the mat. Namaste.